I don't mind earning and burning. And sometimes, I am just looking to save cash. I don't want to pay $300 for a 2-hour flight. Just remember, points are equally hard to earn. So you might want to save it for a good redemption at times.
So there are a few decisions that we have to make at this point. Flexibility on the dates, flexibility on the airports, flexibility on the seats. In this case, I'm flexible on the airport. I'm okay to reposition to a different airport from Denver. I am slightly flexible on the dates, but not by much.
Usually, cancellation for all of the US airlines is free of charge. So you can literally book and cancel without paying any penalty. So I really like booking with points because of the flexibility as opposed to cash fares, which are, the entire money is lost if your plans change last minute. Or like us, because of visa issues, we can't suddenly make the trip.
Every year, billions of credit card points and miles go to waste, either because they expire or it is too difficult to optimize and maximize the value of those points. So, in today's episode, we are going to try and simplify how you can redeem your credit card points and airline miles to book business class seats and book yourself a vacation on points in luxury for maybe 10 to 20% off the actual value. Welcome to Green Mango, personal finance for immigrants by immigrants. I am Kunal with my co-host Shreya, and today we are going to go on a hypothetical vacation to Japan. Shreya, let's see if we can find availability to Japan in end of August for about 2 weeks and see if we can put together a vacation that one of us can maybe take.
Yeah, I think we had to switch up the difficulty level by choosing Japan because it's probably the most coveted travel destination at this point. But, we're going to try our best and see what are some of the options available. So, whenever I am going about any flight redemptions, typically I like to start by going to flightconnections.com to see what are the different options available to me. It gives me a sense of which airlines are flying into my destination, and I am also able to mentally map out, okay, these are the point systems that I have. Maybe I can use these points to get there. For anybody who is following us on the video podcast, we will be sharing the screen to give you an idea of how to go about looking for these. Here we are trying to go to Tokyo, and Tokyo has two airports. One is Narita and one is the Haneda airport. Maybe let's start with Narita and see what are the options flying from the US. Yeah, so here we see that there are nonstop connections. I know you are based out of Denver, Kunal, so great. There is actually a nonstop flight from Denver to Narita. And I don't know about you, but I have pretty limited PTO, so I am always trying to maximize for nonstop flights. So if I were based in Denver, I would probably start looking at United Airlines next. I am based out of San Francisco, so there is also a couple different options for me, like ANA, Japan Airlines, and United Airlines that all fly into Narita. At that point, if I have multiple options, I will probably start looking at some of the times that they fly and try to work out a schedule that works best for me. So, Kunal, I think I will switch over to you to see how you go through the process next.
Yeah, I think United actually works for me because I recently got a card and I earned a sign up bonus, which gave me about 100,000 miles. So let's see if we can actually make this hypothetical vacation into a real one that I can take. So I'll start by looking at SeatSero. So you can enter your origin airport, your destination, your dates, and then it will show you availability across multiple programs and multiple dates. In my case, this is the free version. For Pro, you get better availability for the entire year. I only get 60 days for the free version, but should be enough for end of August. So if I am looking for a flight few months out, then in that case, I sign up for Pro on a monthly basis. And then once I found the flight, I cancel.
Or if you are like me who just likes looking at award availabilities for no reason, you can sign up for the premium version. It's one of the websites I personally swear by because it gives you an overall view of what is available where instead of individually going to each website and looking for award spaces.
Okay, so back to using the tool. My home airport is Denver, and I'm looking for either of the major airports in Japan. So on SeatSero, you have the JPN as the destination, which covers all the large airports in Japan. And I'm looking end of August, so I will select August 22nd plus minus 7 days. So that covers me mostly for the last 2 weeks. And I am looking for business class because we are above that economy seat. There is nothing available in business from Denver. So I will now switch from Denver to USA, which is the code on SeatSero for all the large airports. So let's switch to USA to JPN. Again, sort by business. And as you can see, we hit a jackpot here. There is one flight available on August 27th, which works perfectly for me. It is departing from LAX and goes to NRT, which is Narita in Japan. There looks like there might be one seat available for 110,000 points. And if we hit the info button, we can see that I can book through United, which is even better because I already have the points available in my United account. If I did not have enough points, I can also transfer them from Bilt or Chase to United. So now let's switch over to United. I already did the search here to make it fast, but going from LAX to NRT, August 27th, we will start with one adult. That is typically how I do it. It is easier to find seats for one person, and then you can add on travelers on your booking if you have more than one person traveling. So in my case, I already have 127,000 points, and there is a direct flight from LAX to NRT on ANA, which is a great business class product. I actually flew ANA last year, and this is how the amenity kit looks like. Pretty neat. Because I have the United credit card, I get a small discount, like 9% for card members, looks like. So instead of 110,000 miles that SeatSero was showing, I only have to pay 100,000 miles and $5.60 in taxes. If I was paying cash for the same flight, I would be paying almost $2,200 for the same exact flight on ANA from LAX to NRT. So this is pretty good savings. It's more than 2 cents per point, which is what we aim for. Good thing about United is that I can book flights which are not on United, like this one, All Nippon Airways, because these are part of the Star Alliance. There are quite a few, like Air India, Air Canada. You have United, of course, Egypt Air, EVA Air. So a lot of these can be booked from one of the portals. And in this case, because I have miles on United, I'm going to use United to book ANA. A slight problem is that this flight is from LAX. I am in Denver, so I will have to take a repositioning flight from Denver to LAX. Let's see if I switch to Denver over here. Is it going to cost more miles or same amount of miles? If it is going to cost same amount of miles, then it is advisable to book a connecting flight from Denver so that it's all part of a single itinerary. But if it is going to cost me a lot more, it is then advisable to book a repositioning flight. In this case, it looks like it is going to be significantly expensive, almost 78,000 miles more to fly out of Denver. which is a lot. I could probably take a repositioning flight under 15,000 miles. Or if it is cheap enough and fits your budget, then just pay cash from Denver to LAX and then take this flight out to Japan on point.
That was for one adult, though. And while I would happily leave behind my husband in economy, I think most people are not like that and they would like to travel with their partners. So, what do you get when you search for two people?
That is a good point. I almost forgot about my P2. So let me search again with two adults for the same date. It looks like we don't have a hit. It's now costing 150,000 miles per person for two people. So it is significantly higher to book two seats. And that's why we always start with one. It is faster and you get some hit and then you expand on that search either through different airports, different dates, or add more adults or kids on your itinerary and see if you are able to find availability. If not, then now we have to make a decision who flies business and who goes in economy. So in this case, I will try to convince my P2 to fly economy and I fly business. If not, then we will switch. So there are few decisions that we have to make at this point. Flexibility on the dates, flexibility on the airports, flexibility on the seats. In this case, I'm flexible on the airport. I'm okay to reposition to a different airport from Denver. I am slightly flexible on the dates, but not by much. I do want to fly out in the end of August, and looks like August 27th is the only date when there is even one seat available in business. So I will have to stick to that date. So now the flexibility comes in the seat. I will probably book one economy, one business, and keep looking. If last minute availability opens up, then we switch the person in economy to business. Otherwise, we fly on the same plane but in different classes.
I will go back to flightconnections.com and try to see what are my options to fly back. As I mentioned, there are two airports in Japan, so you can look from either one. So just to switch it up, let's try to see what are the options available from Haneda Airport, because I know that it is a little closer to the city. Here I see that on the West Coast, it flies directly to Seattle, SFO, and LAX, as well as Dallas and Houston. So, since I am an av geek and I would really like to fly the latest Japan Airlines business class on the A350, I would actually start Haneda to LAX as opposed to getting a direct flight to SFO, which is on an older plane configuration. I also know that I typically have more points in the One World Alliance system. So the One World includes partners such as American Airlines, Alaska Airlines, British Airways, Qatar, Japan Airlines. It's my favorite of all the three airline alliances that exist, like Star Alliance, One World, and SkyTeam. I like starting off with American Airlines or Alaska Airlines because they provide a calendar so you can look at multiple dates at once. Let's try to see if we can hit some jackpot by looking at American Airlines directly. So here I have logged into my account. The first thing I'm going to do is one way. It's always advisable to look for award flights one way. Then I will click on redeem miles and then I will put in my airports, that is Haneda to LAX for one passenger. Given it's a 2-week vacation, I will probably put a date like September 12th. Let's try and see what we get. So I'll go here and see what are the business class options. It seems the best option for September 12th is 159,000 points, which is way more than I have. So here I will go into the calendar view and try to see if there are some options with lower point requirements. So here, instead of seeing all classes, I will switch to business or first class. So I see that there is an option for 80,000 points on September 3rd.
You are trying to cut my vacation short by a week almost.
Well, you get to fly back in business. What will you prefer?
I guess this is again going back to flexibility. Either you're flexible on the dates or the seats. In this case, you have to make a choice now. Do you want to stay in Japan for 2 weeks, or do you want to lie flat when you are coming back from Japan?
Yeah, just mentioning, but before we decided to record this episode, I actually had found an award availability for September 14th from Haneda to LAX. But sadly, in the half an hour that it took to record, that seat is already gone. So that kind of reinforces my advice regarding points. Book first, think later. So probably should have gone ahead and booked it. But sadly, that seat is gone now. And what we have here is Haneda to Chicago and then Chicago to LAX. You see that we have it for 80,000 American airline miles, which is not bad at all. You can get some routes for 60,000 points, but they have recently raised the points requirements for some other routes. So, yeah, this is one of the options that you have, but if you're able to see the screen, you also know that my current balance on American Airlines is just 20,000 points. That's way short of 80,000. But good for me. I have points in different credit card ecosystems. So last year I got the Citi Strata Premier card, and end of last year or sometime last year, Citi announced a transfer partnership to American Airlines. That's personally what I use my Citi points for the most. Citi is the only bank that transfers to American Airlines. Chase and Amex does not. Diversify your point systems. Know the transfer partners that give you good value for your points so you are able to be as flexible as possible.
In episode 3 with Trunal, when we were talking about Q Suites, he also shared a lot of ways to earn or top off your American airline miles. So check that episode out if you are short a few thousand points.
This was just a trial booking. Of course, when you're trying to plan a real vacation, you probably have to put in a bit more hours, especially if you're inflexible with dates and times. But I hope, at least with this, you have an idea of how we are thinking through the process. For example, one of the best ways to actually find availability for any airline is to look into its own system. So in this case, for Japan Airlines has a mileage system called the Japan Mileage Bank, and they have more availability for award spaces as opposed to releasing them to partners like American Airlines or Alaska Airlines.
If we are booking a vacation, we have booked the flights, but we do need a place to stay. So let's see how to find a good hotel. So one place to start maybe is Max My Point. This is where it can show you all the various brands. In this case, Hyatt, Hilton, Marriott, IHG. If you already know which program you are going to book with, you don't need to start here. You can directly start on that website. So in my case, I know that I want to transfer points from Chase to Hyatt in order to book my stay. I am going to go directly to Hyatt website, put in my dates, let's say 27 to 29 for 2 nights, and then I'll switch hotels or switch cities. I'll keep looking for rest of my travel. In this case, though, I want to stay here, caption in Osaka. It is going to cost me 15,000 points per night, or if I wanted to pay cash, it would only be $84 on average per night. So this is not a good redemption. The general rule of thumb is for chase points with Hyatt, you are looking at 2 cents per point at the minimum. Otherwise, it is not a good redemption and you should consider paying cash. So if we use that as our benchmark, then for 45,000 points, you should be getting almost $900 in value per night. So in this case, I'm going to use cash and not use my points.
Yeah, the other option is a lot of these hotel programs have free night certificates. So for Hyatt, if you have the Hyatt credit card, every year you are issued a category 1 to 4 free night certificate that you can use at any property. And I also love to book hotel with Hilton, and I absolutely love their free night certificate program. So that has no category limit. So you can literally use it at any Hilton property anywhere in the world. And I hold the Hilton Aspire card, which gives me an annual free night certificate. So I would typically try to redeem it at high end properties, but I have also redeemed Hilton points at a Hampton Inn because the cash rate was almost $650 and the point rate was 100,000 points. So, it really depends. I don't mind earning and burning. And sometimes, I am just looking to save cash. I don't want to pay $300 for a 2-hour flight. Just remember, points are equally hard to earn, so you might want to save it for a good redemption at times. One of the other aspects I enjoy about points is the flexibility. Usually, cancellation for all of the US airlines is free of charge, so you can literally book and cancel without paying any penalty. Even for others, usually the penalty is pretty less, so I really like booking with points because of the flexibility as opposed to cash fares, which are, the entire money is lost if your plans change last minute, or like us, because of visa issues, we can't suddenly make the trip.
Hopefully, this episode was helpful. We tried to do a live demo. Demo guards sort of cooperated with us. The websites worked, but the availability was gone for some flights. So that is always a challenge. And that is the challenge that you will face when you try to book for yourself too. So, as Shreya mentioned earlier, book first, think later. Let us know in the comments below if this was helpful or not. If there's particular destination that you've been trying to book and have not been able to find availability, we can try to help. Reach out to us on Instagram at Green Mango Finance, or listen to our previous episodes, future episodes on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcast. We are Green Mango Finance across all platforms. See you in the next one.